Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. This is Kevin here, and back on another Tuesday to talk some crypto and sort of scrambling to get started here. So bear with me as I just make sure YouTube is, looks like YouTube's going, and should have audio here, and looks pretty quiet in the on the chat so far, though. So maybe I'm just going to talk to myself today, which is okay. We're getting closer to the holidays. I guess we're pretty much going to be calling it the holidays starting tomorrow. Probably take a week or two off from our regular programming in terms of our New York session, and yeah, I suppose our crypto weekly review on Sunday. We're not going to be doing that either. So kind of just wrapping up the end of the year, I guess. But I made it today. And I have no fucking idea what I'm going to talk about. Just kidding. There's tons to talk about. It's more a question of what should I talk about. There's like endless things going through my mind. Of course, crypto's kind of exciting right now, and I've been having fun playing around on Solana with our new degen channel. Basically, like some of the gladiators, Carol kind of took the helm on that. I suppose he's sort of like lead degen, but he's showing us how to trade on chain, which is cool. That's something that I haven't done. I mean, I've done it here and there, but it's not a focus of mine. And to be honest, I'm perfectly well. I acknowledge the opportunities I missed, especially last cycle, which is okay. I was focused more on the kind of centralized exchange, just sort of trading the kind of trade investing I talk about on these shows, and that was fine. But certainly, if you want to get the adrenaline pumping a little bit and, I don't know, take a different approach, there's a lot of money to be made on these, well, of late, the meme coins, of course, on Solana have been going nuts. And there's other stuff, too, that's just going nutso. So, and of course, the whole market in general is kind of uppy. And hopefully you're having fun. I banged out a double on a centralized exchange today. Actually, I got a double on Elastos, which I suppose I'm going to jump right into that. I don't know. That wasn't my intention, but here we go, I guess. So yeah, I was just thinking of a person that messaged me because they were talking to me about this through here. Hopefully they got long. I had actually bought back here in June. I hope there's a weekly W there. And just the kind of retest back into the W, I just went and grabbed some. OBV was pointing higher here in divergence. But that's the Coinbase chart, which doesn't really show much. When you look at it, I started looking at it on Binance, not on Binance, but on KuCoin. And I was like, damn, that's a nice looking chart. So I don't really know exactly what they do. I know there was some sort of narrative that this person was saying. Let me see what they're saying exactly. Well, I don't want to go back in the messages, but they kind of had their finger on the pulse of this one, and it looks like they did start to pump today. Zooming out here, I mean, very nice looking chart, but funny enough, I just see kind of like a range high situation going on here, right? We have like equal highs now that they've taken out. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here. Wherever you want to draw that line, you could even go all the way back here. Maybe you could even use that high to think short reload zones now. So point being, we're running up into like sort of a potential kind of FU area where they might just actually bring it right back down. Or if it's got some momentum behind it, maybe they can get above that level and break this thing out for real and go into an uptrend. But hopefully you can see the range kind of here that might have to see more traffic, might fail here, and we'll just have to see. So this is kind of why we don't chase stuff like this right here. You buy this right here, and you could easily, something like this, you could have bought this candle here on the breakout there, and then, 2 weeks later, you're just pretty well underwater. And then sure enough, if you'd have just held them and are patient, if you're working a long-term plan like this and you did happen to buy right there and it wasn't your best entry, well, hopefully you have it in your plan that you're just going to patiently wait for your chance to sell down the road, because I mean, even if you bought that $2 level, it seems like banging out doubles at $4 down the road doesn't seem too difficult. This is definitely put in this nice bottom. I mean, geez, nice looking chart. So I banged out a double there today. It's up 105% on the day right now. Not bad. Although that's not shit compared to these other these degen names that go. If you want to do that kind of trading, you gotta it's like you chase your way into the market, it doubles, and then you don't get your sell off right away, and then it comes all the way back to your entry, and then it goes back and doubles, and you get your entry that time. That's how it's going for me so far on a couple. Or I had one double, and then I didn't get a sell off, and then I went to zero. And we could talk about some of those too. But I don't know. It's I hope I'm on YouTube. There's not really, even the regulars aren't here in the room, so it's just a lonely day for me, I guess. And of course, it is Tuesday, and the site's probably a little bit, heading into the holidays. Tuesday's our busiest day in a lot of ways. So, we starting with Stefan. Starting with Paul's daily plan video around the London session on Tuesdays, and also every day, Monday through Friday. But then also on Tuesdays, Stefan does a live scalping session, which I wish I could check out, but I'm always asleep. And then by the time I wake up, it's like time for me to just start looking at the current market. So, oh, cool. Thanks. People are here. Thanks. Hey, Anya. Paul just sent me the image that you must have sent him. That's awesome. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was just trying to talk about Tuesdays a little bit, just to remind everybody that if you do happen to be catching this show and you're new to what we do, then Tuesdays is kind of the day that we have a lot of offerings for the public. So you can watch live scalping with Stefan it's during the London session, and I was saying that I'm usually not around for that, so it's live trading. So by the time I wake up, those trades are already well on their way to being too late for me, because they are scalping lower time frame, and so you can check him out, and that kind of gives you a sense of what we do on a daily basis around the site. And then by the New York session, of course, every Monday through Friday we trade live in there from like about half hour before the New York stock market open, and then for a couple hours. And that's on Tuesdays. We just open that up to anybody that's a member of our Discord room. So if you're not a member, you can go to cryptotradersarena.com, find the link to join our Discord, and join up there, and then you'll see the room on Tuesdays to join the live trading session during the New York session. And then of course, then I had class actually today, but then for our Capio 1 program, so we're in the sort of 4th month of that program, which means our students are basically posting setups, and we're mostly Paul, but we're going through and reviewing every trade they take, and just sort of make sure they're on the right track and understanding this whole process, and just reviewing their trades. So we did that earlier, and then of course that's not open to the public, but then I do this show every Tuesday right at the New York Stock Exchange close, which I just kind of talk about crypto, and anybody that wants to look at anything specific. I don't have a because I've been running around today with my head cut off apparently, and also trying to trade at the same time, and I'm not too prepared with anything specific here today, but I do have a lot of things on my mind. And of course, I'm happy to look at everything that people, any requests people have. I mean, the reality is things are going to be probably looking a lot like this in general, so there's not going to be a lot to say about buying them right now. I do know of some things that are still viable, and it's just a question of whether they're just lagging or if they're just never going to move because they don't have any momentum behind me. And speaking of the degen thing, again, and Carol, actually, he's just been kind of reminding people about, I do like his thinking in terms of just trying to buy strength. He's mostly interested in, he basically thinks if something's, if it's not showing, like, and we're talking like new issue kind of on-chain stuff that hasn't necessarily been around since last cycle. But if something's not showing signs of strength, it's like maybe there's something better to look at. that is showing signs of strength. So it's a little bit different thinking than the sort of the whole like let the cycle after the previous cycle happens and then we watch for price to come all the way back down like this thing. I mean, this isn't as old as some of the other coins, but the whole drill of drawing our ranges off the last cycle and buying the bottoms of ranges, that's a very useful type of trading. That's what we've Paul and I focus on mostly, and uh, definitely a whole strategy. But once we start getting into sort of like the new issues and the like whatever the flavor of the day is and stuff, you might like if you're trying to pick shit coins, to be blunt, you might focus on things that are showing a little strength and not things that are like all the way back down to the lows that they started out at, And if you are going to buy that kind of stuff, I think the same rules, of course, apply. Where you got to hunt bottoms that look like this before you can consider like something like this. I think some people might think they're too late or something, but if you can just try to stay in the mindset of we're at like the pre-bull market stage right now. So we went through the accumulation year, had a couple nice rallies, one earlier in the year and then one right now. But those are like range rallies. Those were just establishing this range that I've drawn here, basically. I mean, this high was August of last year. And you could argue that this down move here, in this case, everything bottomed at the end of the year last year. That's January, December. And then it's basically been bumping, many things held that low. And so you could argue the accumulation period started maybe at that high, on the move to a new low after that high. And now we've carved out this accumulation range. And now today's pump up 100% is only inside the range. It's not actually outside the range. So it's not like a real uptrend yet. And so, I think there's a damn good chance you could buy levels like this $1.51 here, which is that little weekly W in the, down the road here. So, just try to stay in the mindset of it's not too late. You just have to not chase and be patient. Somehow I went from buying strong shit coins to that. So I don't know, but there's 2 points in there that I'm trying to make. There are two different kinds of trading in a way. So I think you got to learn this kind first, to be honest, before you can go aping your way into stuff. But the reality is when crypto's moving, sometimes you just got to jump on it and ride that shit. And so the problem with that is most people don't know how to practice risk management. Most people don't have a plan they're working from, because the same things still apply. It's a different kind of entry and exit strategy. It's different how you actually execute your trades, and the sort of all the like legwork behind that and stuff is a little harder. You can't just go on an exchange and work limit order. Although I did make a limit order yesterday, which is cool, on Jupiter for Solana, but that's hopefully, actually, maybe I do want to save some time to talk about that stuff, so I'll try to speed up my point here. But point is either way, you still have to follow the a trading plan with some sort of setup, and then try to replicate that setup with good risk management rules so that you're not blowing yourself up. And then it's just a question of, can you go out and take 100 trades and be right enough of the time and make enough money some of that time to come out ahead, knowing that you're gonna just buy some dogs for sure. And they're gonna go to zero on you. So for me, so far with my little degen plan that I'm working, it's just very similar. I mean, I'm just trying to ape in, sell half on a double, and then not worry about it. And hopefully, if I can get a free position on one of these things, probably most of them go to zero. But who knows? Let's see who gets the 100xer first in our group. If I've got a free position, and like I said, this is the pre-bull market, or whatever that I'd call it, that I guess this is the start of the bull right now, and the real bull will probably come next year or something, hopefully, or maybe it never comes. But assuming we get one, everything's pointing in the right direction, man. This is all setting up. Even this silly chart here that probably isn't even that great of an example, but damn nice looking chart nonetheless. But if we're heading into the pre-bull right now and you have a free position, Why not hold it until the real euphoric top down the road? And if you don't have to let go of it, then just hold on to it and see what happens. And then it becomes a question of how can you sit on your hands and not make stupid mistakes or do things that you regret or and I've done every one of them. So I'm not like standing up here saying I've actually I've done it all, I think. Um, but I don't know. Let's hold this. Let's see if who can hold some of this shit into that top winner, even if it's 2 years from now or something. Who knows? And of course, our Sunday show plan is very simple. I mean, this is we were talking about this in class earlier today, and just this is why trading is insanely difficult, man. It's like really hard. I don't know. Some people it's easier for them than others, but only a tiny fraction of the percent of the people that even make it, it's like easy for them. Maybe I don't know. But the reality is most people have a really hard time with trading, like in general. Uh, and that's probably because it's just like a big mirror. It's like a mirror that shows you everything about you that's fucked up, or something. It shows you all your bad habits and the point is it's also very hard. Like it's so hard to hold on to a bag when it's like up a lot and you think you should sell and you're worried about like you know you sell it and then it goes up 10x and you're mad, or you don't sell it and it goes down 50% and you're mad, and you can it's just you could drive yourself to endless insanity with those kind of things, and they guaranteed will happen to everyone. I mean, I'm sure most of the people listening right now are just also going like, yeah, and so the whole, that's why we make plans, and all you can do is work a simple plan, like try to simplify it to something that makes it doable, where your own emotions and your own overthinking and your own behavioral issues and all that shit can't get in the way of a plan, like sell half on a double. So easy to just sell half on a double and hold the rest, and you'll still have the urge to sell it, without, like maybe your plan says what our Sunday plan is very simple. It's like, yeah, we're just going to sell half on a double, and then when we get the pi cycle top indicator firing, then we're going to just let go of like most of it and maybe hold a tiny moon bag and just try to make sure we're exiting these positions at the pi cycle top, which I don't have that indicator handy, I don't think, but I do know it fired right here on Bitcoin, in the first top. So I think I would have been okay with just exiting like 90% of everything right there. And then sure, you have to, you would have taken some heat here maybe and have to go through those emotions of going like, oh man, this thing's going to 100K and without me or whatever. But, of course, our little plan is going to hold on to just a teeny little bit just so we can ride the rest of the, or a trail of stop. Or, I mean, we have there's some, we're not there yet. So we have a little bit of time to work that out exactly. But the point is we're going to try to exit the majority of the position at the pi cycle top firing and try to just capture that. And we believe that that indicator is going to do a pretty good job. And of course, it might not, and we don't know, but the point of that is just that's how simple that plan was. I even just made it sound complicated. I could have just said, well, we're going to sell half on a double, and then we're going to ride the rest of the pi cycle top indicator and liquidate it and be happy with it. And we're just going to live with the results or whatever. We're not going to get too caught up in the sort of like shoulda, woulda, couldas and like, oh, if I only did this or that. And so, regardless of whether you're investing or day trading or whatever, you got to have a plan to sort of protect you from yourself so that you can do, you know, so that you can execute it. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm just trying to do that myself, just like everybody else. And then I come on YouTube, unlike all, I don't know, then for some reason I do this, which is like a funny thing to do too, because I don't know what I was thinking about as I started here. Oh, cool. Omar saying, didn't realize you had a triple on internet computer. Didn't sell. Oh, shit. Yeah. Well, yeah, it happens, man. Just be patient. I mean, that's an interesting thing, though. It's like, well, I'm sure people, it's easy to go and, well, it's still up 2x, I'll sell it now or whatever. If it's up 3x and you're supposed to sell.
Or maybe it was you're supposed to sell it on a double and it went up 3x, and then good for you. You made extra money. Uh, Point being is you're going to make mistakes, and then it's a question of how do you resolve the mistake. Like, you know, are you going to panic sell at a lesser profit because you're worried, or are you going to just work your sell order and where it was supposed to be and just wait? I'm never going to tell anybody what's the best way to do it or what to do. Really, it's more like I guess I come up here and because I do teach people how to trade and stuff. It's more about like you kind of staying in integrity with yourself. I can't. Like the cool thing about our Capital One is, that we're doing these trade reviews now, and we're trying to trade with everybody, and sort of like not tell them the setups, or not pick the setups for them. We're just kind of letting them find them for themselves, because you have to figure out how to do it for yourself at the end of the day. But then when they do find a setup, we're there to just kind of be like, all right, this was a valid setup, and we know their plan because they've written a plan, and so we can hold them accountable and be like, well, what does your plan say? So it's not really about whether or not we know what the best thing to do is. It's all we can do is say, well, we have these setups that work, and like we know they work. You still have to implement them, and we can help you sort of get to the place where you can implement them in a valid way. And then you still have to, even if this, that's the funny thing is that valid doesn't mean winning. Like valid just means like, was it acceptable within the criteria of your setup, and did you execute it properly according to your plan? And that's valid. So, and then if it turns out you have 9 losers in a row or something, that doesn't make your setup invalid. It just, it might be that your setup needs tweaking or something to get the win rate up, but it, if you once you can get the execution part down, then you can sort of start tweaking the setup. But you sort of have to learn the process first and learn how to identify them and take them and follow your plan. And it doesn't really matter the money at first. That's why we don't. I mean, we do try to start with a little bit of money, because I don't know. I don't mind paper trading personally, but I also see that it's not that helpful. I don't really recommend too much paper trading, to be honest. It's just not real enough. I mean, now even taking dollar trades like we suggest for in our program, we have the $100 challenge, and so the trades are tiny. But even that tiny money is enough to get the blood flowing and make you sort of have the experience. Plus, there's the execution part, which is a whole thing. You have to be able to actually execute. Paper trading, you can kind of just pretend you got your fill. That's not really that's not enough. That's not good enough. Because that's not how trading really is. Then you start trading and you're like, holy shit, it's actually hard to make sure your order's in the right spot, and like fucking you're ready in time, and you don't miss it or whatever. So anyway, wow. Guess I'm jumping around a lot. Which is fine with me. Hopefully it's fine with the people that are listening. But I was thinking earlier, like, why would people? I mean, I guess people want me to tell them ways to make money. I don't know, like what to buy. That's probably the number one reason people would probably listen, I suppose. I don't know, but that's not necessarily the only thing I want to talk about. So I figure like in this show I'd like to sprinkle in some good ideas, and then also talk about trading more, like the sort of mechanics of trading, and talk about plans and setups, and look at things people want to look at, and just whatever, just kind of talk about anything that comes to mind for me uh for a little while. And I'll do this every Tuesday. And so anyway, yeah, I wanted to talk about some degen coins. I want to just really quick I just want to point out, I mean, I just did this yesterday, or sorry, on Sunday for our, we do have our Sunday show, which I started talking about a little bit earlier, but watch that if you want to follow along a sort of simple altcoin investment plan. And I did talk about the DXY, and I don't want to talk about it too much right here. I just wanted to, just point out that the week has started out a little weak here, and it's just pushing deeper into the reload zone, and no bottom yet on the DXY at all. And it's just interesting to just see where this bottom comes in and how it coordinates with like the risk on markets, which are, in the stock market's case, pushing to new highs. I think the Nasdaq actually took out the high today. Yeah, this is the QQQ. It's just sitting right at the high. So it's like, uh, wow. I mean, I don't know, like super epic, straight up rally, obviously. And now we're just waiting to see if this turns into an FU and comes back into the range, or if it actually can continue trending higher. But the only thing that's interesting to me about all this is just to watch and see when that dollar bottom comes in and when a top comes in here, if it comes in. And maybe because the DXY is in a reload zone already, maybe this does turn into an FU. And in a couple weeks, we have like a 3-bar fractal that suggests price has to maybe just even backfill against the high here, the last high or something, while the DXY puts in a little W in the reload zone there. Because that'll kind of be the tell for, I mean, hell, if the dollar just keeps falling apart here and actually takes out the lows and ends up down in the bigger reload zone, which I do think is on the table down the road, we'll see. But if we just go into like an epic straight down, kind of like this straight up, I mean, you can kind of see how the DXY moves in one direction for it's not, it's funny how, like, just looking at it right now, I'm like, damn, it likes to make pretty solid moves. But if this thing just keeps falling apart here, then I bet the stock market is going to keep cruising, and then it's still going to be party times for crypto. So I don't know. But what I think will probably happen is some sort of bounce down here for a little while, and maybe that sort of cools off risk on for a minute. So just be watching for that, and just something to think about. Bitcoin, I just had drawn, I mean, I'll leave that on there. I was talking, this is the state of Bitcoin for me. I don't know if this pullback is going to happen yet or not, but this is kind of the idea. One scenario I think could happen is just some sort of deep dip down against old support and just maintaining this uptrend. That's sort of like the bull is on kind of thesis, I guess. And so, we haven't really gotten much of a dip. It looks like we're just going to rally into the end of the year at this point. Unless something happens pretty quick here. But there is signs of weakness. So, it kind of seems like it could be coming. Maybe even, I saw, again, the whole ETF narrative is probably the narrative, I guess. And somebody was saying today that Novogratz was saying that the decision will be on the 10th. And like, who knows if that's true? I've heard other people say that there's going to be some January decision. I don't even care. I just know that everybody's sort of thinking about that now. So clearly we're like, that's the narrative for Bitcoin right now, probably, and price is ripping up into it so far. If that is going to be in January, of course, everybody's going to sell the news at this point, which is what I would think, and too. But I don't know what. But if Novogratz is out there shilling that decision, he's probably looking to sell or something. And if they could run price up. So anyway, the Bitcoin pullback is sort of the most desirable thing for me. Some sort of pullback. It doesn't have to be this deep. Could even be more panicky and deeper. I don't know. That's one option, but the other option is just ripping it up into the red box and up into 61.8 fib at least, which is like 48K, 50K, somewhere up in there. It seems like Bitcoin could just as easily rip up there as start dipping. So it could be that people like him are trying to run the price up into that kind of level so that they can unload into the ETF. So I'm not saying trust that guy. That's what Paul was saying earlier. And also, do I still have it up? I think I do. Don't trust a guy. Are you really going to, this is Novogratz. You can trust this guy? I wonder if he got that shit covered up. He's going to have to turn that into a dog with hat. That'd be perfect if you just got it covered up with like a fucking, what's that other coin? Dog with hat. That'd be a good cover up, and then you could put, I don't know, you have to cover the Luna here too, but not that this dude made a killing on Luna, even though Luna, I'm sure he got out at the top. So anyway, I actually like this guy, but I'm not saying trust him. But it did make me think of Galaxy stock. Now I'm really going to get off on track because thing is, when there's like a billionaire trader that's a crypto guy that runs a trading firm and his stock starts putting in W's around 88.6, like, I don't know. It's like a no-brainer. I think I talked about this a lot back there. I mean, they ran it all the way up to 46 last time. This is I took part in that rally there. So I mean, this is what a pro stock shiller, crypto shiller. This is what his stock looks like when he decides the bottom's in. So you can kind of learn from him. I just, like I'm sure he was selling up here, right? And now he thinks crypto's actually probably looking pretty good now. And of course, that's Galaxy. They're embedded into crypto. They're like a market maker, and I don't know, weird consultants. They probably run other people's money. I don't know what the hell. They're up to a lot. So crypto stocks are obviously taking off. I got another one too. This BTCM that is looking pretty good here too today on the day. I noticed it was up quite a bit, but probably banging out doubles pretty soon on this. I think my average cost is a little lower than that actually. Anyway, about $6. This one, I mean, all of them kind of look like this. I stupidly missed a couple after talking about them a lot because they just, again, like Mara, didn't really set up. I mean, to be fair, it just came down and put in like a little W in a reload zone. So shame on me for not just hitting this one while I was talking about it. But I just never felt like, I don't know, I was kind of still hunting lower maybe, or just kind of, I didn't really, I don't know. That's the whole pull the trigger thing, right? For whatever reason, I mean, I can, in hindsight, I can say, well, my setup, I don't know, it wasn't really in, like it kind of is. So it's not, I can't really say much. I guess that I gotta drink my own Kool-Aid there, and these are the kind of conversations that aren't healthy to have. I didn't take this trade because it's just next bus in 10. That's all I could say really. But I did miss that one. I also missed Riot. So I didn't like the way they set up. And then CLSK, I'm annoyed with too, but I'm long it from back here and I have a free position now, but I never got my bids filled because I was hunting 78.6 against this little W here, and they never gave me a fill there, and this thing ripped. So far my crypto stocks trading's going okay, actually. I do have this wolf, but I missed a couple of the ones I want to get, so hopefully they give us another chance. But I did buy this wolf. I got a couple shit coins. Well, those are basically all of these except for Mara and Riot. And I haven't bought these yet. Actually, this BitK is really interesting to me, but I haven't bought it yet. And it looks like I mean, this is a total punt. This is BitK Blockchain 2 Corp only in TSXV in Canada. But I do want to, I think I'm probably just going to take some nibbles on this one and just wait and see what happens. Cause I mean, it's 10 cents here and like, it's got a lot of upside here, but anyway, so there's my quick crypto stocks. I just took out crypto stocks. I don't have this can either, but it's just one on my list. I've been kind of watching. It doesn't look too good. Making new lows even recently. And I got a whole list of crypto stocks I need to get through, actually, of some that I don't know about and stuff too. So maybe I'll talk about those down the road here. But it's kind of the same as altcoins. It's like I think there probably is likely to be a chance to buy some of these. I mean, something like CLSK that's such a high flyer, or even Coinbase too. It's kind of like the same chart. It's up here too. I don't know. Like we might have to start drawing reload zones off this high here and see. We'll see if we get all the way back down against this W, because you can see the nice W came in and then the nice retest off of it, and now it's taken off. So, I don't know how many or how deep these dips might end up being, but we'll just wait. I mean, it looks like it's running out of steam here a little bit. Not really, not really broken. It's kind of the state of all. I mean, this is it looks like an altcoin to me. The ones that have ripped are kind of all like this. They are starting to get overbought and stuff, but they certainly have not broken. And, it's just a question of, do we get another opportunity to buy? I think we probably will sometime. Didn't come into the end of the year, it looks like, but I can definitely see it setting up again. So just try to be patient. And I mean, God, I feel like I've been a little bit jumping around. I mean, Bitcoin can go either way here. So there's not a lot to say about Bitcoin. It hasn't truly broken, and it could easily rip up to the reload zone here. So So that's kind of all this sort of hinges on that, right? Like maybe we do run up into that ETF announcement and then they pull it back after that, and it's just a classic sell the news event. Wouldn't be a huge surprise. The only reason I worry about that is because everybody's going to be saying that, so it's like it becomes a total mind fuck of like, you know, are they saying it to make you think that, or are they saying you that to make you think it's not that? Or what if it's that and they're saying it's not that to make you think that it's that? So that really gets back into the why. This is why we don't try to outsmart the market, right? We're just trying to, can we buy this W and hope for the best? Can we find this is why technical analysis is so useful. People that don't, when I see people say TA doesn't work, it always bugs me because it's just because they don't really understand what TA is. They think it's like a magic wand that you can just like figure out the future with. But that's not really at all what it is. It's just a way to frame a trade, and it gives you a visual way where you can actually see what happened in the market. You can see what's going on, and then you can use pattern recognition to replicate a setup across a series of trades. And you can frame those trades with like a reasonable stop loss, which allows you to size your position correctly. I mean, it's not like a magic thing. It's just a way to frame trades. What I find extremely difficult and not useful is trying to frame a trade around the ETF announcement, for example. Like, I don't know how you do that. Like, if you're a fundamental person and you're longing Bitcoin right here because you think it's going to pump into the ETF, that's fine. But where do you work your stop? Or like, how do you, you're never going to outsmart the market. Like, how are you going to know? Even Novogratz knows, he knows so much more than us. He's always going to be so much more knowledgeable than us. So like, why play their game? I mean, the best thing to do is you can see his actions in these kind of W's. Like you can see where I mean, this is CLSK, but it doesn't really matter what chart this is a Bitcoin miner, but you can clearly see that it's not a coincidence they brought it all the way back down to the old lows and put in a W. That's just like, it makes it seem easy in hindsight, and it is I don't want to say it's easy. It's like in theory, it's easy if you can just make a simple plan, like I was saying, and then follow it. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to make zillions of dollars overnight. It just means that you can start to frame, like, I mean, it's pretty, I don't know. I see a bunch of ways you could have gotten into this trade here just based on the type of technical analysis that we use. But you can see where the smart money, they sold up here, the principals and the, all the people with stock options and whatever, and the developers and these, of course, the seed investors, everybody was selling up here that was smart, that knew the future a little bit. They probably at least knew something about this company's future. And hell, it probably wasn't even a Bitcoin miner back here. So who knows what was going on. I don't know what they were doing back here. It didn't necessarily have to be a Bitcoin miner. But if you can, you can sort of read the tea leaves a little bit with the chart, like you can see the W. This is why we talk about W's so much. I mean, put in a W, broke it out, brought it right down to reload zones, and I didn't get filled because I'm dumb, but checked the W level and took it off again. So, and at least I got my, my free position from this rally. So anyway, bouncing around a lot as always. There's not too many people hanging out today, and I don't see too many requests or anything. So I'm just gonna keep on talking about the things that I've, just stuff I've got on my mind, I suppose. I don't know. Talked about the DXY a little bit. We talked about the stock market. I'm not gonna talk about that stuff anymore. Bitcoin is just in that level that could go either way. And Ethereum, on the other hand, has actually emmed out, but it's kind of not really. So I was sort of drifting into this point where Bitcoin, let's look at Bitcoin first on the daily just to see if there's any weakness. I mean, a beautiful trade came in on Bitcoin, and on the lower time frames, like if you were willing to step in against 88.6 here on that move, basically Bitcoin put in an inside bar failure here. And you could have probably drilled down as we were bouncing up into, short reload zones in these couple days, sorry. lower time frame, I'm sure you could have found M's and stuff, but just look how they kissed 88.6 there, and then that's been the top. That was a really nice short location if you were trying to hunt shorts on lower time frames. And then I think after that, you can argue that the M came in. It's not a candle body M. These candle body highs are higher than the left side, but either way, there's a definite M here. And that M got validated even further when they broke it and then bounced right up into that breakdown level. And that's currently been resistance even today. It's basically still holding as resistance. So they're trying to W it here and take it up higher, and they certainly might, but you can kind of see a little bit of weakness there, hopefully, just in that M, and then the retest and the failure again. And maybe we wake up tomorrow and there's a new M in there that's like actually taking out that like 40,500 low or something. So I'm not saying the top's in, but I'm just saying that that's looking a little bit rolly over for the moment, and then the same conversation from the last few times I've talked on YouTube is just support down here at 38, 1,200 would be the next stop. I think if we do roll over, we'll just have to see what happens down there. And you can see how now RSI is in confirmed. Actually, I don't know if we haven't actually taken out that low there. So RSI will be in a big, massive confirmed divergence going all the way back here if that low is taken out. Not quite, but we did sort of M out here and lose the moving average, and we're kind of bumping into the 50 line. So I don't know if you can argue that RSI is fully broken. I don't think it is. It's got like a potential massive M, and there is an M in here, and it is kind of failing, but I don't think it's... because we're basically finding support at the 50 line. It's not uncommon for RSI to put in a W there and then bounce back up higher. So if you're watching for that, that would be sort of maybe this consolidation turns into a move to the upside again. We come up and tag 48K, which is super on the table still by 100% easily. I mean, I don't know. It's 50-50 in my opinion, whether it shoots up or shoots down. But I do think the more consolidation here, the squeezier it'll get, and there will be some sort of move on the other side. And maybe that comes into the ETF in a few weeks. And then OBV not really broken. So I don't think you can argue Bitcoin is broken. It's just showing signs of weakness, and the lower time frame shorts could still be active and decent trades, it seems like. And then I wanted to just point out that Ethereum, I'll just skip right to the daily chart. Of course, Ethereum got rejected right at 38.2. So classic initial 38.2 of the entire range, just ran up into it, tagged, and got rejected. And now we're putting in an M. It has confirmed. It's just kind of a funny thing because Ethereum has this very well-established range at the 2100 highs, even going all the way back to this kind of little high here. We've just established this big range and broke out of it and then M'd right into it. So that's strong support. In fact, the group's hunting longs, lower time frame longs on Ethereum down against this line is pretty reasonable, right? Like, it is an M, and we did just tick through it, but it got bought up pretty quickly yesterday, and so far we're not back inside the range yet. So I don't see a problem with that at all. Like, it seems like a pretty good idea. I was saying last week, don't short that level. If you're short from up here, okay, but like you short that level, you're probably gonna get run over, as because there's no confirmation that we're gonna not just find support at the top of the range and continue higher. And in fact, you got to wait for a close inside. Once we close inside the range, you could start saying like power threes and stuff, I'd guess, to the downside. And that will be a healthy M. If we get a solid close down here, it'll be below the M level and in the range. So that's not yet, but Ethereum is looking a little weaker than Bitcoin here in that way. And in this case, RSI looks like it's trying to confirm the divergence now, or it actually, it'd be today. So we'll see how that closes today, but we might get an M and RSI closed here right into the 50 line. So probably is support there too. So we have support in price and also support at the RSI 50 line. Which doesn't mean a whole lot. A W there would sort of mean more to me, but just hitting it, it'll probably bounce a little bit though. It's likely to. And then OBV actually has a potential M, but not really broken. And then there's like a little M actually coming in. So it kind of looks like Ethereum's a little weaker. And I do think altcoins are probably getting a little exhausted, but there's still a lot of strength. Anyways, that's enough of that. we'll see what happens. I mean, for me, really, like, yeah, short, lower time frame longs seem fine, but it's not like I'm gonna go panic sell Ethereum here. Seems like a bad idea. And let's just see what happens. In the next couple weeks. Of course, who knows what could happen over Christmas? Like, price could get volatile. Shit could happen. I don't know. We could go into a ripper like Santa Claus rally. I don't know. Anyway, I guess I could talk about. I'm still not seeing anybody throwing any requests. There's really not that many people here today, so um, did miss a couple requests from Sunday, but I mean, there's just not a lot to say about things like Bonk was a request that we didn't get to, but I'm sure that like, I mean, what can I say about Bonk? I mean, it's just you can't really. I mean, if you're like a degen and you maybe can think about buying dips here, thinking for another rip, and sure, fine, just be careful and manage your risk. But for the sake of like investing or something, I don't see any point. You can't really. This is an M, if anything. It's not really it's not incredibly well defined, but there is an M there. So pullbacks against the highs here probably are at least in the future of old Bonk. And even if excuse me, even if we look at like a 30-minute chart or something, it looks like it's trying to W here against, I suppose you could argue there's a range now established and you could consider buying W's against the range. So I don't know. That's all I can really say. I can't say anything on a weekly chart about Bonk. And then I don't remember the other one we missed was another one that was a high flyer too. So if something's like flying high, there's not a lot I can say about it. But to be fair, there are ones. I mean, I was kind of mentioning that earlier, but it's like something like this FIS. You just have to like ask yourself, like, I mean, the setup's in for me. Well, I mean, I already bought it, but the setup's still in, and it's sitting right at the level that I bought, even a little tiny bit below. It's literally sitting like right at it. But you can, I'm just kind of nibbling against this W breakout here, and then I had my OBV divergence, and you can see the W came in right at 78.6 of the previous range. And also, like, even that W level right there, we were talking about that earlier a lot today too. I mean, anytime you can find like a structural bottom and price comes down into it, in this case, we still made a little bit lower lows. Not really though. Actually, we didn't, but we came below it. But that's always a nice place to pay attention if you want to buy something, just watching it come back down into the old W, which is around 78.6. Now, once you've drawn your range now, and you can see 78.6 was that W, and also now currently the W. So I love that. And so the question is does this thing just not have, why isn't it pumping right now? Like, I don't know. So it's lagging, but it doesn't mean it's dead. It's just, we'll see what happens. But there's something clearly that's, in my opinion, buyable. I don't know if there's any rush to go buy too much heading into the end of the year. And if this ETF thing really is going to happen, it might be, it's okay to, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to do what you're going to do, but I don't feel too aggressive about things really. Like, I mean, there's no rush. I think if because I'm still kind of, well, I'm kind of hoping for that Bitcoin dip to actually dip the things that have pumped down, because if like the things that look like this currently, I want to get this kind of dip to buy them. And I don't know if that'll happen. I mean, I mean, I guess even what I'm saying right here, that's the problem when I talk about this on these shows. None of that matters. It's like, did your setup come in? Like in this case, my setup came in and I just bought it. So I'm not really trying to figure out shit. But when I do these shows, it's like I'm always trying to like rationalize all this stuff or trying to frame a narrative or trying to, and I think that's helpful. But that's not really, it shouldn't really impact my decision making too much. It should basically be like, well, I'm a bull. I was a cautious bull for the last year, like, accumulation bull, just kind of thinking I could probably bang some doubles out and moves like this. And those happened. And then as we got more into the end of the year, I'm going to get more bullish, closer to the Bitcoin halving. And here we are, like 5 or 6 months ahead of the halving, or whatever it is, 4 or 5 months. A chart that looks like this, I basically have to buy it unless I'm trying to not buy this name for some reason. I don't even particularly know what this is. This is one of David's names, and I just thought it looked good. So FIS. So yeah, there's a buyable name, but other ones that aren't so buyable that I want to buy would be like or things I definitely want to reload on. And let me find a good example here. Like I wonder what Peer's doing. Yeah, that's a good example. I mean, something like this. Also not. I mean, this is the thing. So going back to me being like a bull, I'm basically forced to be a bull going forward. Because I see a chart like this that's actually been through the accumulations bottoming phase. This was May of 2022, and then we came in kind of, panic dumped in June. And then so far that low is actually, well, this is the low. That was probably FTX. Yeah. So then FTX happened. A lot of things made new lows. This barely made a new low. Anyway, established this nice bottom. You can see the little W's coming in all over there. And even like I had fibs drawn here because I was buying against that W. I think this was, well, this is on Binance because my trade is actually on Coinbase, but it started on KuCoin and just, fuck. But you can, see the first W came in. I drew my fibs, was looking to buy pullbacks against this W. That worked out nicely. Even another W came in. Same thing happened here. If you're, it's kind of uglier, but I could have seen, totally fine with buying against this W here too. OBV in this case was pointing up higher the whole time. But anyway, I'm just saying accumulation is over now. Like in this case, or not, I didn't mean it like that. It's just this bottom is in, I should say, is what I'd say. We've broken out the range in this case. I did bang doubles out. I think like many people in our community also. And there was different kinds of trades going on. If I remember, like people were trading this through this move too on lower time frames. But point being is like I just basically have to stay in the mindset of buy the dip. That's the mindset I'm in going forward, and I'm not going to change that at all until the pi cycle top. And so when I see a chart like this, I'm just going to draw my fibs. I can update that fib to the high now. It looks a little heavy. You can kind of see the heaviness in altcoins. Like it's like, yeah, there's a 3-bar top here. Not quite an M. Maybe it's still got gas to keep going higher, but you can see the M in RSI. I could easily see dips coming. Might not, but I could see it. And so, now my job is just to go and see where I can buy in reload zones against old W's. There's a lot of W's in there. So really I'm just like, can I, however your approach is, I like to just take a little nibble at 61.8, 78.6, and then have a little stink bid at 88.6 and just see if I can kind of average my way in here against 78.6. As like, if I do all three of those bids all get filled, I'll have an average cost around 78.6, which is basically right at the breakout level of the whole bottom. And then, I mean, clearly you can see the upside potential here. So that would be like right now that's 455 and below, and a double is only up to here. So anyway, these are the kind of charts. Anybody that asks me about a chart that looks like this, I'm going to say that exact same thing. But damn, that looks nice. And if you can find OBVs that are pointing up like this, even better. Which, to be fair, because we just finished a long accumulation period, it's not a surprise to see OBV trending higher. So, and I could just pick another random one just for fun. Like, what does Gnosis look like? Got a bunch of weird lines. I'm not actually trading this one. But hopefully you can see the same kind of thing. The accumulation looks a little different than pure, but it's still the same idea. And we did establish a range. Kind of even if you use this high, you can see it's doing its best job to get out of the range right now. And maybe it keeps going. But there's a damn good chance we come back down. And this one has several W's. Well, there's this little W that was like already in. But now there's really like a big wide one, which is what we want to see. So So I'm gonna draw. God, I'm losing my voice. Sorry. Let me take a drink. So one like this, I mean, the breakout level is a little higher because of wicking up here with the W. But what happens when I draw my fibs? Do you think that's in a reload zone? Probably is. It's getting close. Yeah, so you can see that level is 146.60, and Mountain Man 61.8 is 160.5. So, um, right in the middle of the reload zone basically is that level, and that's sort of like the more aggressive. I mean, to be fair, like how aggressive are you? In my mind, I'm starting to be more and more Mountain Man. Mountain Man's a little aggressive. Like a lot of these will probably blast through Mountain Man. But like I said, I like to sprinkle my bids a little bit. That's just my style. But you could also hunt 78.6, which is also like sort of like the candle body breakout level, I'd say, like or just 78.6 is this old W, and that's 124.40. So anyway, same thing with Gnosis. You can see the dips happen. I'm not saying the top's in, but you can see it starting to happen. Is all I'm saying. I don't know what's going to happen. And I know like at the beginning of the year, first quarter of the year, when things were looking like this, nobody believed us on our Sunday show that we were doing the same thing and saying, well, we're just going to buy back here when it rolls over. And people were like, no, it's going to go straight up and they were saying Gnosis, specifically Gnosis was going to 1 million per coin. I remember. No, nobody said that. But, anyway, you can see it. This is actually not a 3-bar top. It's actually an inside bar, which is kind of weird. I know it depends what you call an inside bar because of the wicks and tails, but this is an inside bar compared to the last. It's not really a. That gets into like definitions of what an inside bar is, but point being, you can see how we failed, and then now we were inside of the previous price action, and then now we've ticked through it. That is some sort of sell signal. Doesn't mean it's gonna produce much, but you can kind of see it starting to happen. You can easily see how prices could be down here, like in the middle or the like first end of the first quarter next year or something. Somebody was asking about Link. Let's see. Watch HRV wants cheaper ETH. Yeah, sure. Is it possible for ETF to be rejected? Yeah, sure. I don't know. It's BlackRock. I don't know. Do they ever get rejected? Or I'm not sure. If it does get rejected, it's because for some reason BlackRock wants it to be rejected. I don't know why they would, but again, I'm not smart enough to know what they're thinking. I'll never know what their game is. So, but we can read the tea leaves. Like, sure, like we can say, like, well, if price is ripping up into that event, even if a rejection came, it would probably still be sell the news. The problem with buying the news into that event is Bitcoin's going to be already up high, and it's going to be hard to, unless they can dip it before, then I don't know if I can really get behind to buy the news because, I mean, we'll see. And then it gets into the whole idea of what does that ETF even matter in Bitcoin's bigger story? I don't know. Smarter people could talk about that, but I don't know. But yeah, it's always possible it could get rejected. We have no idea. I mean, I would guess it would get postponed, and I don't even think there's a confirmed date for an announcement. But don't quote me on that. But I could see some sort of postponing shit that actually would be sort of a drain on the market too. Like that seems to have happened in the past with stuff where it's like it gets drug out and then people start losing the momentum, and that I could see something like that where they just keep kind of like dangling the carrot out but never actually don't do it for a long time. And of course all those products aren't really great for Bitcoin. I don't know, an ETF. Now, I don't want to, I'm not the smartest macro analyst or anything, but it seems to me like those ETFs and stuff actually are kind of a drain on the momentum of Bitcoin. And plus, what the fuck do we need those things for anyway? That's the whole point of Bitcoin. You can actually own it and put it on you can put it on your wallet so that hackers can steal it like pros. Why let the bank steal your money when you can get it stolen from the guys that are like hacking ledgers now and shit? I'm just kidding. uh, But I mean, it also opens up the ability for the institutions to play the games they like to play with, like, because keep in mind, I mean, there's probably gonna be options traded on that ETF, right? So it's like it opens up a whole different sort of animal for like how the trading desks run and stuff. And I don't know, that allows them to short the hell out of it without actually shorting they can short the market without having to unload their Bitcoin. They can do all kinds of stuff. So it's not particularly great for for the crypto story, and it just gives Wall Street more control probably. Anyway, let's look at Link. And really, these are all there's not a lot of like um, trade ideas coming out of this. This is more just sort of getting ready. Now's the time to, I mean, take your holiday. We're going to take some time off for the holidays. And like I said, I don't know if there's a huge rush, but you got to get your bids working so that you're around, or so that your bids are on when it happens, because it'll happen kind of quick. And hell, it might even happen during the holidays when everybody's fat and drunk and not paying any attention. They'll do something crazy. But Link looks a lot like Peer. I got a bunch of random lines in here because I mean, they're not random. They're drawn off the previous structures, and those are all places where like you should be looking left and seeing, well, maybe I can get dips down there. And the one that actually put the bottom in was this 490 level, which is a great call by Stefan back in that time. He basically called this a power 3 and said, if price reclaims the range here, we had a situation where equal lows had set up, and he just said, if when price closed down here that week, he said any reclaims of the range are long opportunities. And that's the ICT guys power 3 concept. But it's basically an FU, right? It's the same thing that we talk about with FUs a lot, where they just basically took the liquidity underneath these lows and then turned it around and went in the direction they wanted. And so, yeah, it's a different type of strategy than buying W's, but that's a totally awesome way to go about things. And you can get some really great risk to rewards because, your location is awesome if you're buying down right against the lows here. And Link now, just all I see is a big W and a consolidation period right around 88.6, and the bottom's in my opinion. So any dips against even the range highs at 950, is that in a reload zone? It looks like it almost is. I got to move my fibs a little bit. So now I can update my fibs from there to down to this low. And maybe just ditch these lines. Just so you can see. Look at that. 61.8 is the top of the range. So yeah, no. And you can kind of see this sort of open air gaps. I mean, that's just a fair value gap, big old open air in the volume. So like you can easily see how price can get sucked down all the way to at least like 857, which is right in the smack middle of the reload zone. So, just this is the thing, is like, go get your list. And so this is kind of like Carol is talking about buying momentum on the lower time frames and aping into these new issues. That's one strategy. We're talking about buying range bottoms on altcoins that have been around since last cycle generally. And I would still argue that this probably the smartest approach to take going forward is look for the strong ones that have bottoms like this and buy dips into the strong bottoms. And so if a coin's still making new lows or maybe even has a V bottom, it's sort of like even like Osmo, just off the top of my head. I mean, I am long Osmo. But like if I this chart, like, okay, fine. Like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, draw your fibs and buy reload zones, but I don't love I mean, this is clearly strong, but it's not kind of on the top of my list for like buying dips into strength. It's just kind of a wacky looking chart. So, and actually I had to go way underwater because I was buying this last year. Yeah, this wasn't my best trade, but sure enough, it actually seems to be working out. I saw somebody calling for $6 Osmo the other day, some OG, and so I don't know if Osmo goes to $6. It's cool with me. Anyway, Link would be an example of a strong bottom. So like buying dips into here seems like a good idea to me.
And Power of TA, Stefan smelled the bottom. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, and as a scalper, he's sort of clued into the idea of the FU, which is also the same as like Paul's sort of like, you know, assume fake out. I mean, this is fun to talk about. This is a total other tangent, but the idea of the FU and the use of, I mean, the thing is an FU down here, like if you see like a consolidation like this, and then you're looking at this is why I mean, you're right. Watch HRV. This is the power of TA. Because if you're looking at this chart, like I'm sure Stefan was, and the first thing he was doing was just looking left and being like, okay, like the last cycle ran up and I draw my fibs, and then, we're well below the reload zone here. So even just down in here, your brain should at least go like, I'm a buyer, not a seller. Doesn't mean you have to buy, but it just means that your brain's not a seller. Like right away, the power of TA, in this case, with the simplest thing of a fib retracement, can program you to not be a seller right there, no matter what. It doesn't mean you have to buy. You just have to think like a buyer here going forward. So then the consolidation's coming in and you're just looking for a reason to enter. And you see these lows sort of setting up, and it's not unreasonable to think that there's stops under those lows, right? People are probably buying and putting their stop there. And the longer this consolidation goes on, the more stops are there. And so then, and this is a weekly chart, by the way, so it's not like this happened quickly, so it's like, right here, this candle, that close that day, on the close of that week, you could see that they just closed it outside the range. And so right there, your brain just goes, okay, like, am I a seller or a buyer? And like, because you can't be a seller because we're all the way down at 88.6, you have to think like a buyer. And so it's very easy to then go, okay, well, I think this is a fake out. And realistically, like many times, especially if this is why location is important in that fake out idea, is like a W to the upside in good location. It's like, yeah, it could easily be a fake out still, but I'm not really thinking of shorting that breakout here as an FU because of location. So I'm a buyer, not a seller here. But I'm also a buyer and not a seller here too. So any dips below those equal lows, and I'm like, if I'm just like a sniper trying to hunt awesome location, that becomes an amazing place to just go and buy. And you could have been a little patient and waited 2 more weeks for a close inside and bought that close inside of the range. So, I mean, that's a different setup than the kind of setup that I like to trade on these, but super valid, and especially for lower time frames, that kind of thinking. But the key is you have to keep location in mind. You don't want to be, it's easy to think of a fake out here is what I'm trying to get at, because really smart money's thinking of buying here, not selling. So if they can suck the public into selling here, that's what they're doing. That's the whole sort of idea, basically, is like, can we get the public to sell us their bags right into these like buy levels? It's a cool setup. And then I don't actually know the details of Power 3. You can ask Stefan about that or look up ICT and go. I just know to me, I just think of it as an FU, but I really have gotten to like his concept of equal lows. He just says equal highs and equal lows that's interesting places where liquidity can be found, where like the market makers or whatever, the whales they're going to probably take that liquidity before making the real move. And so that's the ultimate fake out, really, which makes sense. That's what they're trying to do, right? Suck the public in and then take price the other way, which is why the trading's so maddening for people that don't have plans, because they're always just sort of at the mercy of these people that are way smarter than them. I mean, anyway. So anyway, Link's nice looking chart though. However, I did want to talk a little bit about the degen coins, so I'll probably just move on to that. I mean, the same story goes for all these. So the end of my point is just find the bottoms, draw your fibs, and start getting your bids working on the ones that you want to buy that are already looking like this. Have nice location and have nice consolidation bottoms, which is, funny enough, much of the market at this point. It's getting to be a lot. I mean, there's some stuff that's not really W'd out yet, but it's less now. That's funny. I can't quite read your question because the little heart's in the way. Who is the best trader you saw, respect, or I don't know. That one word is blocked for some reason. That's weird. I don't know if the best trader I respect. Hell, fucking Paul. Paul. Paul's one of the. I think Paul's probably the most systematic. I don't know. I've watched. I mean, I've seen a lot of traders, but I don't really know how a lot of people trade. But I know how Paul trades. In terms of consistency and ability to be there all the time and you know execute his plan uh, without too many mistakes, and also just on a daily basis without like just fucking it up. It's probably Paul. So I'll give you a shout out there, Paul. You're you're probably the best trader I know, actually. Um, but that's the problem with, I don't know, best traders. I don't know. Like some people have made obscene amounts of money that might not be the best trader. I don't know. But if you define a trader as somebody that um, has defined an edge in a market, or identified an edge in a marketplace, and they found a way to systematically exploit that edge over a series of trades, and they can do that with a favorable enough risk to reward ratio and win rate combined to generate the possibility of compound gains over time and not focus on one trade, then if you define a trader that way, then honestly, I think probably Paul is about as damn as good as they get. I don't know. And hell, Stefan. I mean, that's the cool thing about this group is, I mean, that's the power of our group, actually. I mean, there's a lot of groups about trading, and there's a lot of, uh, you know, the other kinds of Discord groups that sort of just kind of get behind like narrative momentum and stuff. And of course, like crypto heads love it, and everybody's piling in and talking about meme coins and stuff. But I don't know too many groups that just talk about setups. And I mean, for whatever we are, we're trying to impart this idea of what I defined as a professional trader. That's the whole point of our Capio 1, the whole point of our Capio 2. And the real power of our group is actually, I'm not going to throw myself, Paul and Stefan's ability to like day trade that way on a consistent basis and actually do it live. And we have our VIP group where they're basically just telling them every trade to take, and they're fucking good at it. No, I'm okay. I'm not shitting on myself. And I do my best to scalp, and I love to that's how I make income. But I also really kind of like to do these longer term things. And in the bigger picture, I'm hoping to just, take advantage of the next bull and just kind of, that sort of suits me. And then I'll keep my scalping, but I don't really claim to be as like sniper as those guys or just as consistent. If anything, I would identify some of my issues more emotionally. It's like I have, it's sort of whatever side of the bed I wake up on that day can be impactful in my scalping. So like I have to acknowledge, I have to, that's like where I have to work the most with my day trading, because I can be inconsistent and sort of in terms of like catching a losing streak and being kind of down on it and then making it worse for myself. Those are issues that I have, but always getting better. And definitely imparting. I mean, I'm fucking consistent as hell, though, in the bigger picture. So it's not like when I say consistency issues, it's more just in being able to like, yeah, just every day show up and not fuck it up. I show up every day for sure. Just who knows if I'm gonna fuck it up. But so I don't know. Maybe that was the long answer to your question, but I do think, man, I have a lot of respect for Paul and Stefan and the way and that goes for actually. And then there's other traders in our group. I mean, that's what's again, the strength of our group is really about setups. It's not really about me rambling on YouTube for too long. It's more about this sort of, we're trying to build like a community and a group of people that sort of approach this in a professional way. And I just personally haven't seen much of that. I don't know. I get that I haven't joined a lot of groups. I'm not saying they don't exist.
But like a lot of us are old TRI people, and that's sort of what was imparted on us from Brian, and this idea of the process. And I mean, we're trying to take it into like sort of overdrive with that, and just sort of build like a just just that's our main focus, is like, can we truly act like professionals in the market, not just like, I mean, sure, we're degening coin, or a better example, like, can we degen Solana meme coins as a professional? Because if you can figure out how to do that, you're gonna make fucking endless money in these kind of crazy meme coin rallies. If you can manage your behavior and stay consistent and follow your plan, and position sizing, and not exiting too early or panicking, or if you can get all that sort of resolved for yourself and build a trading plan around it, man, you'll be like unstoppable in these crypto bulls. Or even if you can just learn how to use our THG system and flawlessly execute it, you're going to do insane in the bull. So hopefully our goal is just to have a bunch of people that are doing that. So yeah, if you become a member of our community, we do expect you to at least have an interest in sort of always refining yourself, always getting better, always working on your plan. Hopefully you get to the point where you're experienced enough to not have to change your plan so much. I mean, at the beginning, it's like a lot of trial and error. And then as you get sort of sorted out, then it becomes less trial and error and more actual just executing of the work you've already done. But we do expect everybody to at least try their best at that. So anyway, I don't know. Damn, this is my best attempt at shilling our school. I'm not particularly good at, like, I guess I'm trying to hype our school a little bit. But more just be like, if you want to do our program, then that's what we teach. We're not just teaching technical analysis, actually. In fact, we simplify the technical analysis down to like just the core basics. And like even Paul today was saying in our class, like, it's funny how we're not even like, sure, we teach you how they calculate MACD, or like we teach you how to learn that yourself very easily. But it's like, we don't really care how MACD is calculated. We just care if it works. And if you decide that MACD divergences are working for you, then you don't really need to know how to do the math. I would get people might be mad at me for saying that, but you just need the basic tools in your tool belt to build a strategy around. And so that part is the technical, or sorry, the technical part that we teach. We teach planning, is a big part of it. Then we teach risk management, which is a huge part of it. And this is a part that separates pros from non-pros. I would argue one of the biggest things that separates pros from non-pros is position sizing, and the ability to size your positions correctly so that you can take 100 trades with the same amount of risk. I actually think that's one of the things that, even people that are making money from trading, there's a lot of people making money from trading that don't have their heads wrapped around that concept. And so of course we teach, well, risk management and this sort of concept of, this position sizing stuff I'm talking about. And then of course, how to log your trades, and logging and journaling, and that's all part of it. And then there's the technical part, which we've boiled down to the core necessities for the setups we're teaching you, because we're going to basically teach a few setups to you. And your job is to learn how to execute those setups. Even if you don't, even if you use a different setup down the road, that's not even the point. The point is, can you learn a setup and execute it across at least 100 trades, and then see where you're at. And so, we do like 3 months of learning all that shit, and then we spend a month just trading. That's the part we're in right now. And then after that, really, there's a whole 8 more months of trading with us. So it's just not direct trade review for that. We won't be like hassling you about your log. At that point, you're expected to be able to log your own, to be able to hold yourself accountable. Because of course, like, holding yourself accountable is also another massive attribute of a professional trader. If if you can't admit that you're not, like, if you're not logging your trades but you're still putting on new trades, then you can't, you have to be honest with yourself and acknowledge that you're setting yourself up for trouble. And so after the four, after that, we're not going to be like breathing down your neck. We're just going to expect you to be minding your business. And really, at any point, we should be able to ask, do you have a log filled? Any trader should have that already. And I say that as a person that shit has not necessarily came easy to me. But at any given moment, you should have your trades logged. Like if you can't log a trade, you shouldn't be putting on another trade. But anyway, we're not going to always be around to hold your hand. So of course we do enough hand holding to get you where you need to go. But after that, you become one of our colleagues, right? And there's like a steep learning curve to this, but it's like sort of, we've tried to condense it to at least get you in the game here. And then of course it could take, everybody takes a little bit, everybody has their own timeline or whatever. So, we're trying to build a community where we basically are all of us are always working on our timeline, and then we come together to sort of share ideas and get better as a group. And that's the whole purpose of this. So of course our communities, the whole purpose of our community isn't to just like make calls, although we do that, but it's like we want you to come make calls with us too, because all of us, if we're all comfortable with sort of sharing our ideas, that's where we're going to find, be able to stay on top of everything, because there's just too many names, too many ideas. And then sure enough, the more we do this, we have our DeFi channel, and there's people that are way smarter than me in there. We have the NFT channel, same thing. The airdrop channel, we have people that are, focused on farming airdrops. And then of course we have the trading channels and a lot of scalping and day trading focus. And so, as we grow as a community, there's like, it's just kind of coming together. There's like people that are good at every little part of crypto, and then even the traditional markets a little bit. But hopefully, like I imagine by the time that Pi Cycle top indicator fires, Crypto Traders Arena is just going to be like running on, we're just going to be killing it, as a group. So that's exciting. And we're getting closer and closer. Like, well, you could argue we're already killing it, but I just feel like when the peak euphoria happens, I mean, my goal, hopefully, like when that peak euphoria period happens, I'm hoping that we're already all long and we're not buying tops. Nobody in our group's going to be, and we're going to probably have a lot of new people coming to the group that are trying to buy Bitcoin at 150K or wherever it's going to be. I don't know. But the people that are hanging around now aren't going to be doing that. Hopefully everybody will be, ringing the register and celebrating. And there's a little bit of that right now. So it's like everything's paying off even now on sort of a smaller kind of, smaller bull, beginning bull, the pre-bull. I don't know. The bull that this link chart just shows, like, it's like started now. It's like, that's why buy the dip is a good expression. I mean, that's the only, this is now I always feel like people say buy the dip when they're trying to panic buy into like, ripping markets. But I also think of buy the dip as more like you establish conviction in a direction, which for me is bull now because of simple technical analysis, location and then consolidation bottoms and W's. So now that those have come in, it's like now my conviction is bull, and so I'm not a seller, and so because I can't buy tops, I have to buy the dip. But I'm not looking to short link here, like at all. I mean, it's fine if you want to go like scalp and short link, that's fine. In fact, there might even be short opportunities coming up here in this dip, but that's a different, that's not this wider zoomed out approach like that I'm taking here. It's this, at this point, there's no, like if you own link here, I don't know, sell it here and then buy it back here if you think you're smart enough to outsmart the market. But is it really worth it to, you capture a little bit of, $5 to the downside, 30%, 33%. And, I don't know. It's like, that's not really what I'm looking for. I just want to buy that dip wherever it comes in and then look for much bigger upside targets. Cause I mean, of course, Link can easily get up to like $42 again or something. And I'm thinking even higher, but I mean, at a minimum, I think like 20, $5 is almost like a no brainer down the road, but we'll see. Of course, there's always a chance they take these lows out, but even like that, like going back to the FU story, like if they take those lows out, and I know I'm just ranting here, but like if they take these lows out here, does that make you a panic seller? Is that how you're going to approach this market? I mean, that's how most people are going to, like the people that are buying Link right now, they probably saw it on Telegram or something, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna put my savings in Link because I heard it's going to $150,000 a coin," and they buy right here. Then the dip comes, and maybe they even panic everybody, take the slow out again and freak everybody out. And those same people that bought up here sell right into the buy orders of the smart money, and then the process starts all over again. So even that's why I say, like, my conviction is that the bottom's in, because even a taking out of that low just is sort of like, it's like that doesn't mean that I'm wrong in my approach at all. It just means I might have to go underwater a bit, and maybe I have to wait for another W and add or something. But that doesn't change my bullish conviction at this point. And who knows, maybe crypto goes to zero and I'm totally wrong. At least I know I followed my plan, which is telling me to buy the dips against W's. So even if I do that and then everything goes to zero, I guess I can always, trade the next shitcoin and get, why am I at a loss? Make it all back, whatever. Of course, we could start using the old like Wojak memes, the McDonald's employee Wojak or whatever, or the ramen memes. I didn't hear that too much this cycle. Like nobody was talking about how they had to eat ramen as much. Maybe they were, and I wasn't paying attention. But I feel like the memes of like the 2017 cycle were the best for some reason. Like that weird German singer guy and that, I don't know, go find that. Dude, that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Anyway, geez, I guess I've been talking for an hour and a half. Hopefully I've said something that's worth listening to. I am just sort of winging it and just kind of talking about whatever. It's kind of fun to try. I think of it as like trying to be like a podcaster or some shit. And trying to sprinkle in some decent ideas here and there. Take a look at people's requests if they want. Talk about learning to trade, because I just like that. I like to also think about this, like the psychology behind trading, and really just like, I mean, I honestly believe that trading is one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I just see it as like a mirror, basically. So like I'm looking at this mirror and it's just showing me everything about myself that's outside of trading, by the way. Not like, and it like trading will bring up every demon. It will like, it obviously impacts this sort of innate greed that we all kind of have on some level or another. It just like gets right in there, and it gets right into the fears you have and sort of like self-worth. I don't know, it's weird. It's like it'll challenge what you think you deserve, what but it certainly also will show you if you're full of shit. Because you can't cheat yourself, really. So like, if you're completely full of shit, you'll expose that by trying to go take trades. And by full of shit, I just kind of mean, like thinking you can get away with it, like without doing the work, for example. And of course, even that's a mind fuck, because there's always going to be somebody that got away with it without doing the work. So it's like the whole thing's just a big mind fuck. But I like to look at it as almost like this mirror, like I was saying, to show me how I can be better. I'm not saying I'm always doing it, but I'm always kind of like I always want to look at that mirror and have it show me who I am, man, like who I really am. And man, it's not pretty at times. It's crazy. So I don't know. Maybe that's some weird shit, but that's the kind of stuff I like to talk about. I want to talk about that kind of stuff more when I do these shows. Just kind of like what makes, and of course, this assumes that, like, I like to personally try to have some sort of, or I try to view the world around me as a lesson, right? Like, everything that's happening around me and to me is just like is that same mirror that's basically sort of trying to show me how to grow, right? And man, nothing will force you to grow and learn more than trying to trade. So if I actually believe that, like, I mean, or it works both ways. Like if you take care of your diet and you exercise and you sleep well, you're going to be a way better trader than if you party all night. And I've done both. Like if you party all the time, stay up all night, and then wake up at 7 a.m. thinking you're going to just go in and hit the market, you're probably not going to, it's going to be harder. And so it's like, you can use trading as a way to become a better person. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but that's sort of how I look at it. Is like, it's just like this thing that's always nagging me to improve. There's always something you can do better. And like, yeah, like stuff like diet is something that I struggle with, because I kind of I roller coaster through doing really well for a good period of time, and then just completely falling off the wagon and just eating like shit for a while. It's just funny. And so like that's kind of like trading, like in the same sense. Like if you sort of log your trades, especially as a new person, if you're logging all your trades, you'll probably see a similar roller coaster where you can start identifying areas where, like, well, shit, I was trading like total shit last week, but I also had all this stuff in my personal life going on, or I was depressed, or whatever, anxiety about. You'll start seeing like parallels in how you're sort of living and how you're trading. So I don't know. Now I'm really just well, yeah, I still never got to shitcoin, so I'm just gonna wrap this show up with a couple. I'll just kind of talk about what I've been doing. I mean, there's not a lot to talk about, but I'll just show you some examples of the trades that these guys have been showing me in the degen room, and a couple that I've taken. I mean, I have K-pop up right now, which is one that I took. I don't really have my levels drawn here. I guess I do this one. Yeah, so like against Solana, this is where it is a little different. I mean, I like Carol. The funny thing is, Carol told me like it was like 8. Yeah, it was right here, and I was walking back from getting coffee, and I saw it on my phone, and that's a W breaking out, to be fair. And I was like, oh shit, K-pop's such a good name. That's like such a good name, and K-pop. I don't know. I was just like right away, like, yeah, I definitely want to fucking ape into that one. And then by the time I got home, it had already doubled to 16-ish. And then I chased in. Like, I would never do this, like on like these other trades I'm showing you guys. Like the whole sort of buying W's, waiting for this is different in that way. And I'm not saying go do it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I'm trying to do it like these guys do it, because I see the potential, and I've always shied away from this kind of stuff. The funny thing is I always shied away from this in the past, but nonetheless, I just kind of aped in and was like, fuck it. And keep in mind, I'm trading with small amounts and my risk management's on point. So like, I'm not ever in a place where I'm going to like, this isn't that big a deal because it could have just as easily gone to 0. But ultimately, that's not actually my sell, because I sold on a double. That was my second sell actually, but over here, I sold on a double basically pretty shortly after. This is a 1-hour chart, so it was like a few hours after. And then I just held through this, and then I didn't reload, which I was kind of like, oh, why wasn't I in here reloading? But I still didn't quite have my plan together for trading on Solana. And anyway, nice opportunity to reload, and then you see what happened. And I think the last sell I had was at like 600% up, and then I still have a free bag. And so now I'm just going to let this one ride. So K-pop, we'll see what happens. It looks like it could easily just come. I mean, these things move so crazy. Like, I mean, you can see how just in like, that was like 1,500, and then the high came in at 2,100, and it was like a huge move even right there. And then it made even a huger move, like all in the same day. And then it came all the way back down that night or the next day. and then now it's up like some obscene amount from. So you can see these things are insanely volatile. Now it kind of looks like a Head and Shoulders, and it might have to, uh, maybe it comes back down here, and I reload. I don't know, because that's going back to like I think Carol's philosophy of just like you want to buy the things that are like hyped at the moment, and like maybe like some influence of, I don't know, influencers or early influencers, like the people that got in at lower prices have shilled it, and it's pushing the price higher. It's like if it's not doing that anymore, then like I don't know if you want to be involved in a meme coin that's already completely shit the bed. I mean, to be fair, this one came all the way back down, and the same rules would have applied. You can see W's down in there against reload zones and against the old structure, so everything still applies. It's just like if something's just drifting to new lows, I don't know. It might be better to hunt things that are strong. But there's one, and I mean, I bought this Popcat because it was like similar, and it did something similar to here. This one I actually did reload on. Well, I bought it in here somewhere and then didn't get a double, and then reloaded here and have been selling on doubles. On a double on both those cars now. So I just have a free bag here, and it looks like it could keep going. So that one's. I mean, these are too late to buy. Sorry, I'm just kind of talking about past ones. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't know. Well, they are. Well, this is the thing. I mean, I'm challenging my own beliefs of like what chasing. I mean, this is all chasing like hell, in my opinion. So it's not really like my style per se. It's harder for me to get in the mindset of chasing uppy markets, but I get it. It's just you got to do it at the right time. Like right now in Solana, and maybe we're even getting kind of towards the end of it. Even like the meme coins have been going now for a while. You certainly don't want to do this in the middle of a crypto bear market. Let's put it that way. Like, so there's always a good time for everything. And this kind of trading is probably not good in the middle of a horrible bear, but we're not in that anymore. Right. So this kind of stuff makes more sense. And really it's like, what is the next, what are the new narratives that come out of these kind of things? Like clearly BRC is a huge narrative right now. I think that's probably a big one. Solana itself, the Solana ecosystem seems like it's ready to just rip. So anyway, and Solana itself has been kind of stronger-ish, like for the layer ones. I think I have that on here. I was looking at like this cool. This is like this weird old site BitScreener. I kind of like their site actually, but you can see Sol. Like here's like layer one. Well, they're not all layer ones, but like they call it blockchain infrastructure, and Sol's up 8% on the week. You can see ICP's up a lot, but Sol's relatively strong in general. So I think the Sol ecosystem's probably still going. And that's where my focus has been, by the way, because I essentially just set up a Phantom wallet. Just kind of the quick, we had a cool tutorial from yesterday for our premium members from Bochan about like all this stuff. But the quick end of it for Solana, I just, using the Phantom wallet, and I've been trading on Radium. Jupiter is cool because I worked a dollar cost average thing on Jupiter that worked out. Well, I don't know. It hasn't worked out yet, but I've bought this Guac, which I don't know. Guac might be a step up from like a total shitcoin, but I think it's still probably a shitcoin. Where do I look at this? But I mean, all I'm really going to say about this is yesterday in this dip, was that where it was? Yeah, and like, and it's still dipping. And I tried Jupiter's they have a dollar cost average program where I basically just picked like 7 hours. Every hour for 7 hours, it just split up your bid in 7 parts. And it worked. And of course, I was just playing with that, but I could see that as a great way of doing this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, there was a big dip here. I saw actually Bochan saying he was interested down on this dip. I just turned that dollar cost average on, and now I'm actually probably going a little underwater. I think my average cost ended up being like 28, somewhere right there. And so it probably has more to dip, and maybe I'll even turn it on again because I didn't buy that much. But that's kind of cool. On Jupiter, you can do a dollar cost average. But I also used a sell limit order too on. I sold half on a double on this Popcat with the limit order that happened overnight while I was asleep. So that was cool. That was like down in this area here. Cause like yesterday it was like banging underneath my double, but wouldn't give it to me. And then it popped overnight. So yeah, you can work limit orders there. And of course, Solana's really cheap to trade on. The transaction fees are really small. So anyway, that's my approach in general. Like, and then I'm just kind of trying to just learn from the guys that are better at this, like Bochan and Carol and Alex and just everybody in our DGen room. So if you are a premium member, you should check out the DGen room for sure. It's a kind of new addition in the last week or so. We just thought it was probably a good idea to separate this kind of trading into its own room. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing there. Guac has utility, Hanya says. Cool. So yeah, so Guac, yeah, I think Guac is a little, I mean, from Bochan's, I was trusting him. I don't think it's like a total shit meme coin. I mean, one thing about this, here's another part of this trading that's more, I mean, just giving some insights on what I've learned in the last week or so anyway. And I already kind of knew this stuff, but like for one, you have to be careful what contract you're buying. So bare minimum, of course, Dex Screener is showing you a bunch of pairs that you could go trade, but when you go look on Radium and stuff, there's oftentimes copycat coins and bullshit. So it's like always just look at your contract address here on in the lower right of Dex Screener. You can look at Popcat, and you can also go look at it on the Explorer if you want. But always double check that contract address with the thing you're actually buying. And since some of these are new issues, they don't necessarily pop up on the swaps, so you have to kind of you have to go hunting for them. Just be careful there. Make sure you're actually buying what you think you're buying. And yeah. Anyway, here's another one that I don't have that I saw Carol trading earlier. Popo, Pepe's dog, I think. And I was gonna say too, and you kind of want to. You might when you're hunting in Dex Screener, you might look for ones with like more liquidity. Like this one has 48K, and then this one up here is actually something different. CCV4 is the contract address, which I don't think is the right contract. It's actually this JGAW one that we're after. So like, and you can see Carol is in here buying because he knows what he's doing. And God, I mean. There's 10x already there or more, maybe even. These numbers are so big, they're like hard to do the math in your head. I mean, kind of. So anyway, here's one that that dip there, I probably could have taken. When was that? 1430. I think I was too busy today, but I was kind of thinking about trying to. This would have been maybe turn that dollar cost average thing on when it starts. Like if you are going to chase these markets, you could. Well, I mean, going back to the chasing thing, it's like I don't know if like buying right into a high. I think probably still trying to buy dips is but I'm not going to get into the logic of all that because I don't even know what the hell to do. I mean, I get it. Like you could have bought the highs right there and been and this whole sort of trading. This is so different than the other kind of trading that I've been talking about, obviously, because this is more just like, are you willing to ape in and can you find things that have strong momentum behind them that like that traders or everybody's already amped behind? It's there's like a lot of like this one in particular has like a story behind it and it's being pumped right now. So it's like the wind is at your back here. So it's like when are you going to pull the trigger? Because to be fair, you pull the trigger right here and this thing could be down here by tonight. And so like it's so dangerous. This kind of trading is not it's just not for everyone. And if you're not working from a plan, it's going to be even harder, I'd say. So I don't really want to sound like I'm like shilling this. It's more just because I've been having fun with it. So I'm talking about it. Not really suggesting people just go jump in and do it. I do suggest people get on Solana and learn it and learn how to use the wallets and learn how to use the swaps and stuff because, can't hurt. And there's just so much money to be made in this stuff, especially like, get yourself ready now so you can be ready for the next year. Because there's probably going to be a lot of this kind of stuff and you could chase these stories. Which, of course, I'm bad about giving disclaimers, but of course, none of this is like direct financial advice. I'm not qualified to tell you guys what to do with your money. I'm just saying how we kind of do things and how I do things and that's it. I can't, that's, I really try to, like, I would never, if you ever hear me saying to buy this right here, then I'm, I don't know, I shouldn't be. Let's just say that. Um, but that doesn't mean that it won't go up. It just, or it also could go down just as easily. So anyway, just different approach that maybe I'll talk about more as I do more of it. Like I said, I don't know, like when DeFi was kicking off last cycle, I um, just didn't. I mean, that's kind of like, it's sort of more my style. I'd like learned a lot from Brian Beamish at TRI, of course, and like I'd sort of also worked at TRI, well, not sort of, I worked at TRI and also was responsible for talking about things in their approach, which is like, so, of course, like that's what will keep you out of, I mean, this kind of shit will get you in trouble. And like, Brian's approach and also my approach that I take most of the time is to stay out of trouble. And so it's more conservative. It's not like adrenaline pumping, like making, the kind of gains you see people talking about on Twitter that may or may not be true, but just this sort of like gunslinger approach. I'm not saying that I don't, I value that approach if you can do it, but of course I would just have to suggest that you do it with good risk management is key. Because if you're only throwing a little bit of money at this, that's not going to affect you. Sure, then maybe if you can keep your emotions in check and throw a tiny amount of money at this and wait for 100xer, then that could turn into decent money. But by no means am I going out and trying to shill these ideas of this kind of trading. I would say be damn careful, especially if you're the kind of person that gets impulsive and wants to take huge bets. I don't know, if you got karma on your side, maybe you'll come out okay, but man, it's dangerous. So that's my disclaimer. Also, all of the things I say are just kind of more educational in nature and more just like trying to show the process, and hopefully you can learn to do it on your own, because that's what has to happen anyway. So anyway, that was kind of fun, and I am having fun with this shit, so I'm gonna keep at it. And I suppose maybe I'll jump to the next chain when that is necessary. I've also been kind of just making sure I'm set up on like Phantom, although I know very little about the Phantom network. Just got some money moved to a wallet. I mean, the cool thing is I have some free positions too on some of these, like Soul and Phantom, so I can just take that and go and see if I can gamble it away. I already am set up on Binance Chain, but I'm hearing that that's probably not going to be very exciting going forward. I don't know, but that is one place where I did do some trading last time around. So it's not like I didn't do any of it. It wasn't really in my wheelhouse. I was more still just centralized exchange. And then Arbitrum also is a place I've done a little bit of trading, and I don't know, maybe Arbitrum becomes more in vogue here soon. And I got set up on Optimism a little bit, but I don't hear anybody talking about that chain. And then Coinbase chain or whatever, I don't know if that might become a thing. So we'll just pay attention. And I'll probably be relying on these other guys in the community to sort of guide me in that. I'll probably just sort of listen to them and see what they're doing. So, I mean, if that interests you, of course, that's what we do. That's the point of our communities. So I can kind of lean on them for their knowledge, and then hopefully I can return that favor. Well, I mean, a couple of them are in the level in our Capua 1 right now, so hopefully I'm helping them. And that's what's cool. I mean, those are guys that have this. I mean, just to use them as an example, they've done a lot of this kind of trading. They were around last cycle, and I think even the cycle before. And so they have a lot of trading knowledge, and they're just in our program trying to refine this sort of professional trader's mindset. And I'm sure when they get the two locked in with each other, they're going to be fucking, I mean, I don't know. They're probably going to be set up pretty well going forward. So anyhow, thanks everyone for listening. If you are listening, I appreciate it. And just up here trying to do my best and talk about stuff that I hopefully people find useful. Always would love feedback. I don't get too much. I mean, people send me messages saying thanks and stuff. But if there's ways I can be better, or even just things that I could focus on that might help people more, or just even ways we can make our content better in general, I'm always happy to hear all that. I'd love to hear it. And in return, if you just if there's something I can help you with, feel free to reach out to me. And you know, take our school program or not. I'm not trying to. It's like I'm not really trying to talk anybody into it. We're doing it, and we want people to take part in it, and we think it's good, and we think we can offer a lot of insight into how to do this professionally. And if you want to give us a shot at learning from us, then I'd appreciate it, and I'll do my best to make sure that you gain an understanding of this stuff. The first program is basically just trying to get you to swing trader level, and swing trading, day trading, it really doesn't matter. It's you just got to learn the process first, and then you can sort of branch out. And if you can learn the process on your own, by all means do it. And you can also probably do that just from hanging around with us and just listening on a regular basis. You can learn this stuff. It's not like we're certainly not like gatekeeping the information. It's more like the information's readily available. It's just like I think we can condense it down and focus on the key parts, and then sort of just walk you through it in a way that'll like expedite your learning process. And so, because I think probably the biggest pitfall in starting out trading is chasing rabbit holes. And I even, I started with learning from Brian, and then still chased too many rabbit holes, to be honest, in terms of just like trying too many things, trying to learn too many different, and part of that, there's fun in that too. I try to separate it nowadays, where I like learn technical analysis for fun, but try to not let it impact my trading so much, and try to not change too many things around. And then doing these shows and stuff kind of makes that part more fun, because I can like just talk about indicators. I don't have to really like necessarily trade them. I can just sort of talk about different approaches and still become more knowledgeable in technical analysis, but just not getting into that sort of, like Paul says, a professional student. Like, we're trying to be professional traders, not professional students. And there's a danger in trading when you become a student for too long, because you never actually start trading. And so, our whole goal is to just try to get you trading. And so if you can do that just by hanging out with us, cool. If you can do that on your own, I support you. If I can help you in any way with just answering a couple questions or pointing you in the right direction, I'm happy to do that. Just hit me up on Discord. Or you can always send me a message before these shows, and I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about on the show. And maybe I'll turn it into like a call-in thing where I'm really just giving like therapy advice. That'd be awesome. Anyway, I think that's it for me today. Thanks again, as always, and I'll just go eat some guac. And I guess I will mention that. I guess that's it for me until next year. So I'll wish everybody happy holidays, and I'll be back, I guess, the first week in January, probably at this point. Yeah, I won't be making any YouTube content until then, so that's not that far away. And yeah, everybody enjoy your families and have a good rest of the year. Geez, it'll be 2024 next year, and we'll just be ready to rock again, probably heading into what could become life-changing events, maybe with the bull market in store for us. I heard one of the people in our group was saying they think this will be the biggest one ever. So just believe them. I don't know. They also said they thought Solana would be a huge, well, they specifically said Solana will be the BSC of last cycle. So like Binance Chain, there was a lot of money to be made on Binance Chain last cycle, because it was cheap Ethereum, basically cheap gas fees and a whole new ecosystem to chase. And of course Solana was around last time too, but he was predicting that Solana is going to have that same sort of driving force going forward, which is actually hilariously ironic, considering Solana was like FTX's baby. And it's just funny how this is why you can't outsmart the market, man, because it'll always prove you. Of course, everybody thought Solana was going to zero, last year. So anyway, happy holidays again. I'll talk to y'all soon. We'll be hanging around the chat, just probably won't be making YouTube videos. And that said, I'll just say goodbye and thanks again. So take care.